Good morning, everyone. So grateful to have you here. Let's begin by opening sacred space. Take a nice deep breath and begin to open sacred space within your beautiful selves. And with each breath, feel that growing more and more and expanding out beyond the edges of the universe. And we call upon the Spirit within us this morning for health, for love, for abundance, for whatever we need. We know that's already ours and within us. And we're continuing to say a special prayer for Patty Caro, who's now home from the hospital, but still on oxygen. So we're saying a prayer for Patty, for the spirit and divinity within her, to know that she is completely and wholly well and perfect, just like we all are. We say a prayer and hold in our hearts all those who need emotional healing this morning. Let every soul know they are not alone. They are never alone. We are one. We are a beautiful community, universe-wide. One community, one heart, one spirit, and so it is. Amen. Well, good morning again. For those of you who might be new here, I'm Rev Patricia Roller. I'm the senior pastor. You'll notice as time goes on, I act differently than most senior pastors you've probably ever met. So I love to laugh. I love to be in community. And I always appreciate this community for all of its warmth and loving. So this morning, before I came here for service, I was sitting and listening to two doves that are out in our trees, and they've been there for I don't know how many years now. And I was listening to them in a new way this morning. I was thinking about spirit. And how spirit always talks to us, is always available to us if we have the ears to listen. And so I listened to spirit and the doves this morning as they cooed to each other in their language, and I could feel the energy rippling through me and that feeling of oneness and that feeling of spiritual wholeness. It's really interesting, as we live our lives, and we're so involved in the five senses that sometimes, we don't feel the spiritual wholeness, do we? We feel separate, we feel apart. It's only when we bring our attention back to our intention of being in connection, in deep love with spirit, that we realize, we've never left. That's never left. So the talk today is on spiritual wholeness. And there's all aspects that we can take a look at with spiritual wholeness. There's all different sort of avenues we could go down. I'm just going to go down a few this morning. Now, I don't have the author's name of this, but if you want to look it up, it's a really wonderful resource. It's called Self-Realization, 17 Benefits of Having a Personal Relationship with the Divine. And I just love some of the things the author of this just really has to say, and I'm going to go through some of them this morning and then give you some stories, because you know how I love to tell stories. And these stories are true. So, not the first one, but the first one I'm going on this list, the first one I'm going to talk about is help that you can actually receive. I want you to think about that. Help that you can actually receive. And it says, when the divine is a friend in your life, it becomes second nature for you to go to the divine, especially when you need assistance. And because the divine knows you so well, the divine knows exactly how to assist you. How many of you know that the divine is your instant default, right? We know that, but do we operate that way, right? We're like, I remember when Michael was little, his little thing was, I could do it my own self. It's like, no, you can't do that particular thing your own self. No, yes, I can. And that's where we're at sometimes. We want to reach out, we call for help or whatever, but we're really in a mode of wanting to do it our own self. And that's absolutely fine. But we may not realize that, at those moments, that if we could just release and let go, that the divine is there to assist us. We don't have to be, what is the word I want? Thank you. That's right. We don't have to be in control. It's not about control. It is not about control. It is about surrendering to every moment and allowing that moment to inform you. So I have this very, very special story that a friend of mine has agreed to let me tell about her. But she's asked that I don't use her name. So, because, some of you will know her, some of you won't. But she's private. So she lived when she was younger in the valley and had children, and they were on a farm, and they had cows and everything, and husband was at work. And this friend of mine has incredible deep faith. Comes from a tradition that has, amazing benefits of exploring how deep their faith is. And so she was alone one day, and she noticed the fence was broke in one spot, and the cows were out. They were outside the fence. And there was a road right there, and she was very afraid of them getting hit. It was a very busy road. She can't do anything because she can be in the field, but she can't leave her kids. We don't have cell phones at this time. There's all these things. And so she stood there, and she said, this was her verbiage, "Father, I need help. Please help me get these cows back inside the fence." Are you ready for this? This is a true story. She stood there. I'm not kidding. The cows levitated and came up over the fence and back down on the inside of the fence. Now that might really push some of you and go, "What?" Right? Because that kind of stuff doesn't happen in real life. I'm telling you, that stuff does happen in real life. That is real life. It's just that that's a part of the life that we cut off because we say, well, that's not possible, that's not probable, that's fantastical. But that is an immediate response to a need, and it defies all the things we think we know about our world. And that's how the divine shows up. That's how Spirit shows up for us when we reach out and say, look, I don't need to know the how this is going to happen. I'm just saying I need help, and it's going to happen. You see, we don't need to know the how. Who in their right mind would have ever thought that those cows would levitate? Can you imagine being her? What? Right? I don't know how he'd feel about that. Thank you. I think. It stretches the imagination, stretches the reasonableness, doesn't it? It just stretches you beyond belief to think about things like that. Yet, if you read some of the things in spiritual literature, Teresa, St. Teresa of Avila, if any of you know her, she was an amazing nun, friend of St. John of the Cross. And this was during the time of the Inquisition. So, you'll want to keep it on the down low during the Inquisition, especially if you're a nun. But she was so devout and so in love with the divine that they're all the sisters are there one day in the sanctuary, and, she's saying her prayers, and she starts to levitate. And she starts, whoop. And the sisters are like, what's going on? Right? Because, Inquisition, what's that look like? Witchcraft, right? That looks like something's going on. So she says, don't say anything. Don't say anything. But she couldn't, it was something beyond her. Her ability to be so connected and to be so loving and in love with the divine. Levitation is one of the things that happens. One of the great miracles. It's also part of I think it's the 7 cities that Jesus learned, levitation. So this is not about levitation today, but it's an interesting thing. The reason why I bring this up is because I want you to think beyond the box in your life. I want you to understand there is nothing that is not already available to you. But if you consistently need something to look a certain way, if you need spiritual wholeness to look a certain way, the universe will conform to what you need. But if you are wide open, then the magic begins. We live in a very magical world where all things are possible. If you're feeling stuck, wherever you're at in your life, and you think, well, I need therapy, or I need this, or I need a pill, or I need this, all those things can help you, but be open to the divine. I believe in allopathic medicine. It's helped me this past week. However, right, I'm so receptive to all of the beautiful energy and healing. I don't need things to be a certain way. I can allow it to happen however it needs to happen so that I can awake to remember I have never been ill. Right? There's something in my psyche, something in my history that says, well, you have this history, this is what happened, so therefore, and I believed in diagnoses, I believed in those things, and we're back to beliefs, aren't we? And so I'm open. I'm open to losing that belief, whatever that is. I'm open to allowing that to be cleaned out of every area of my body and to experience my divine wholeness. The next one is increased faith. You begin sensing that your requests for help are rapidly answered and really answered. And you learn to recognize the help as it comes to you in unexpected ways. The recognition increases your faith and gives you greater peace in these times when the divine help is not apparent to you. So, how many of you have been in a place where you thought, well, this is just kind of it? I'm just kind of at my wit's end. I'm kind of done. I don't know what's going to happen. And then something weird happens, right? I mean, weird. So, I'm just thinking about the past couple of weeks, some of the work I've done with people. And, I think when you're new to community, some of the things we do here looks weird. It's like, well, how did that happen, right? That really worked out, but I want to know the how. And could you give me a schematic of that, Patricia? I can't because I never know how Spirit's going to show up in you, show up in me. And what I've learned through the years is to have some grace around that, right? Just to have grace and allow that to flow in. So if Spirit says I should do this, I do this. If Spirit says I should do this, I do this. Whatever Spirit says to me, I listen and I do, because I know only greatness comes out of that flow. No resistance. So, why do we have separation? Why do we have a feeling of separation from the divine? Yeah, okay, so I'm glad you bring that up. Because here's my pet peeve. Freud, all the way back to Hinduism, actually, because they use the word ego too. I'd like to know where ego is. Well, yeah, what's it look like and where it is, because we have given it, and I'm not.
And it's spread, so it could be big ego or little ego.
Right, and the id and the ego and the superego, right. And so, but here's the thing is, it's a belief system as far as I'm concerned. There's only one. There's only one in me, and that's the divine. If I give this sort of thing a form and a shape and put clothes on it and say, now you're my ego, and here's the thing, I'm going to dump all my stuff onto you. All the things that I don't like about myself, all the things that when I don't show up the way I want to, you're going to be the whipping post for that. And we're going to call that ego. And you're like, well, that's just my ego. Right? I'm just trying to, clean up my ego. So I don't believe I have an ego. And I know that's really kind of pushing the edges for some people. I don't believe I have an ego. Here's what I think. I think I have experiences. And then I get to choose from those experiences. I get to say, well, that pathway was a little rocky. That didn't work out so well for me. But I don't have to beat myself up for it. I don't have to make myself wrong. I can just look at that and go, because you know what? That was very cool, but that's not a pathway I want to come down again. So thank you very much. Thank you for the journey. Thank you. Right? We don't have to have an ego. That's an invitation to you. If you would like to keep your ego and your belief in it, please, there's no harm, no foul, but for me, it's just a matter of just walking down the pathway and noticing everything that comes up is an experience. And then the invitation to me is Patricia, like this one here with my stomach. Patricia, it was Rebecca. Rebecca has been such a spearhead. Reverend Rebecca has been such a spearhead in this. And she's been sending me text and sending, text around around, we see Patricia's body as perfect and whole and blah, 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 all these wonderful things. And I read it again this morning. I'm like, well, yeah, that's right. And when we can begin to accept those beautiful things in our lives, just one last thing about ego. Do you think Jesus had an ego? Do you think the divine has an ego? When we put our attention on something other than our divine selves, we certainly create it. We certainly bring that into our existence, and it certainly can be a real thing in our lives. But it doesn't make it true. It can release just as quickly as it appears. Just as quickly. We've talked about this for the last month. Everything is a belief system. Everything you experience is out of some sort of deep part of you that believes something about whatever you're experiencing. Therefore, if you're very invested in it, you continue to have the same experience over and over and over until you're ready for a new one. Accepting more opportunities. When you know God is supporting you, you are more apt to keep your eyes open and be willing to receive and act upon the opportunities you are given. Okay, so here's the thing, there's that old joke about there's a big flood, the guy's on top of his house, and somebody sends an airplane and a boat and whatever, and each time the guy says, no, I'm waiting for God. So he dies and he goes to heaven, and he's like, God, hello, I called on you, you didn't appear. And then God says, well, look, I sent you a boat, an airplane, blah, blah, blah. What more do you want? Right? What more do you want?
You want to be plucked out like a cow.
Yes, he did. He wanted to be plucked out like the cow, right? Because, and I love that you bring that up, because we think that these things should be like miraculous. And sometimes, I don't believe in miracles, but because everything's a miracle, right? There's nothing that is not a miracle. So I don't believe in separating things from not a miracle. The fact that we're all breathing, it's a miracle. The fact that, I'm standing here, that you're sitting there, that's a miracle. The candle is lit, miracle. Everything's a miracle if you want to look at it like that. There's nothing that isn't the divine. But when you think that something should appear in a certain way, then you're waiting for it. And you miss all of the opportunities that come to you each day saying, here. But because you have a story or a vision around it, you don't see it when it's being offered to you. You don't see it. That's amazing. The perfect confidant. I love this. You have somebody you can confide in at all times. Someone who will never shame or humiliate you. The unconditional nature of this relationship allows you to express yourself fully, something you may have never been able to do before. So, because there's some newer people here in the congregation, so you don't know about this about me, but often what I'll do on my little planner, and I don't do it on my phone, I have this old paper planner. I don't know why. I like the textual feeling of it, right? So in my planner, I will put in lunch with God. Now, if something's in my planner, unless I can't help it, I show up. And so lunch with God, I never know what lunch with God is going to look like. I get all dressed up in my mind, thinking about what I'm going to do, what I'm going to wear. Oh, where's God going to meet me today? Sometimes up by the falls, sometimes it's in Paris, wherever, wherever my thoughts and imagination take me. And this is the funny thing, and then I never know how God's going to show up. One time God showed up as a dwarf. That was interesting. One time God showed up as an angel, a big angel. And one time God showed up as an old man with a long white beard. And I'm like, seriously? Come on. That's from my childhood. And so we had this great talk about my childhood and working some of those things out. I never know how God is going to show up for lunch. But it's a time that I take out, and you can call it meditation, you can call it whatever. But when I have things in my heart that I really need to talk about, I have spirit time, I have God time. I make that time for myself, I make that time for my friend, God. Now here's an interesting concept, a confidant, right? I'm also God's confidant. Is that weird? Have you ever thought about that? You are God's confidant. You are the miracle that's been created. from the great thinker. I wonder, we're always talking to Spirit, always asking, always talking to Spirit. How often do we listen? What does Spirit say to us? Hey, here's what I need you to do today, Patricia. Can you do this for me? Yeah, what is that? Anything, God. Okay, that person you were really pissed at? Well, God, our friendship seems to be coming to a nice little end. Yeah. The person you're really pissed at? I want you to love them today. Okay. I have a friend from China that I've had for many, many years, Yuning. And Yuning told me when we became friends, okay, so we're friends? Yeah, wonderful. He used to be a film producer in China. I say, yeah, we're friends. He goes, okay, so here's the Chinese understanding of friendship. Whenever I call on you, whatever it is, you will be there. Whenever you call on me, whatever it is, I will be there. But friends that have this kind of understanding only call when it's really, truly needed. And out of 25 years, I've only called once and he's only called once in that manner. Right? So when Spirit speaks to me and asks me these things, I know they are things that are very, very special. The conversation is very special, things that I am led to do, that I am being asked by Spirit to show up in my spiritual wholeness and do the things I really, at my human level, least want to do. And then I find my way to do them with the guidance of Spirit. And I'm going to tell you, over the years, it's been a very humbling experience as a leader in community to have these very human moments and to learn from them and to be open about sharing them. Because how helpful is it to have anybody up here giving you a pep talk and you just think, well, aren't you just the one? Look at you. And then you put whoever it is on a pedestal and then you turn around and I'll be doggone if they don't fall. That is just such the weirdest thing, and it's very consistent. Happens each and every time with every leader and every teacher. My teacher, Shriyam, says, please don't put me on a pedestal because that's a short fall. So, you should never put anybody on a pedestal. And it's my belief and the leaders of Sacred Space that, we share. We share from the deepest parts of ourselves how these things happen for us. Being a leader, what does that mean? We're all leaders. That's what this community is about. We're not about leaders in congregation. Yes, there are leaders because we need to do that in terms of, legal structure and everything. But really, seriously, each and every one of you is just as important as I am in this community. You're all spiritual leaders of this community. So, talking with God as the confidant is a very, very special thing to experience. A bigger playing field. More things are included in your realm of possibility. You are open to new options and new answers, which allows them to enter into your physical reality more easily. Okay, so I told you about my experience with the app. When I asked the divine holding my pen about that and then the app coming in. I do that all the time for everything. The pen, holding the pen until it falls is just my way to have perfect connection, right? So I can be open in my understanding, open in my consciousness to allow whatever comes in. How many times have you had a bill in front of you or something in front of you and you're like looking at the checkbook and there's no way to pay it? I'm the only one. Okay, well, that's okay. That's all right. Okay, I'm willing to, it's okay. How often has something like that happened? And you're like, okay, and here's what we normally do, right? We go into that worry mode. How's that going to happen? And you go through your whole checklist, and once you get through your whole checklist, and there's an option, you're like, okay. And then the agony and the fear set in. Right? Amazing how that happens. What if you just hold a pen? is that weird? What if you say, okay, I got a bill. Now, listen, this doesn't take us off the ability to be conscious creators and good managers of our lives. That's not what I'm saying. But whatever it is, relationship, money, health, whatever it is, holding that pin, or however you want to do that until that pin falls. Then the answers come in, because it's not all, your mind's not all filled with all your personal itinerary of what needs to happen. So Spirit can get in there, and Spirit can talk to you, and you're like, okay. And will it happen right away? Sometimes. Other times, uncanny things come in the mail. People do a phone call. It's whatever, and we call that faith. And I'm pretty comfortable with that word, faith. If that's what we want to call it. I just know it's so. You see? Here's a couple things I know. I've never met a stranger. I don't live in an unfriendly universe. I'm not at risk. And I'm always taken care of. Wow. What if there's some of you who doubt that, what if you believe that just for a moment? I've never met a stranger. That means everybody you meet with your heart open. Right? I don't know how many times that I meet people and they go, God, I feel like I've known you forever. And I think, well, you have, right? I mean, we're all one. We came from the same place. I saw you there. I know who you are. Yeah. I'm not at risk. What if you truly believed you weren't at risk? Could you accept your spiritual wholeness? I mean, the universe is happening for you, not to you. Do you understand that? For you. You are not here because you're on a penal colony. You're here by divine design and personal acceptance. I don't live in an unfriendly universe. So, I'm coming off this was last week, I'm coming off onto Highway 22. Okay, can I just say, the person behind me, please, can we just notice that when you're going around the hairpin bend, you can't do 55, all right? Nor should you, because it's posted you shouldn't. So just noticing, one of us watch the sign. That's okay. So I'm going down, and they are like right on my, right? Yeah, right on my bumper. Thank you. Right on my bumper. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I'm giving them love, and then it's time to merge into traffic. And they woo around me and honk. Like I did, I was at fault for going the speed limit. I'm so sorry. And so I just started laughing. And I just started sending them love. I'm like, wow, okay, one of us is having a good day and it's not you. And here's what I thought. I was so happy that I was the one they did that to. Wasn't that such a blessing? I was the one they did that to, because I didn't honk back. I just chuckled. I sent them loving energy. I sent them a prayer for their safety. How divine was that? That they found my bumper. Yeah. When you start to look at the universe that way, you realize you're not in an unfriendly universe. You're in a universe that people didn't take their happy pill some mornings. It's okay. Okay? Right? It's on your divine counter. It's a choice. You don't want to take your happy pill. That's okay. But you're not going to make my life unhappy. And I'm going to hold the memory for you in the space. Things are amazing, and they happen. I want to share one more, because I have another story from Sri M that is just an amazing, amazing story. Oneness. Your personal relationship with God or Spirit opens you to glimpses of your connection with all that is. These are glimpses which eventually grow into the knowing of oneness. Now, Sri M has an autobiography out, but this story does not appear in this biography. He told it, and I can't remember if he told it to the group last summer or just a few of us. I can't remember, but I think it'll be in his next book. So Sri M who is some of our teachers here, a Hindu teacher, and he's also doing the Walk of Hope in India right now. He lived for 3 years with his master in the Himalayas, in caves in the Himalayas. During the 3 years, there was a sadhu, a group of sadhus who are, they're of a, I don't really know how to explain sadhu. They're holy men and holy women. But it's a specific sect of Hinduism. And so the sadhus come up to the cave, to Babaji's cave, say, "Oh, Babaji." And Babaji was well known, Sriam's teacher, was well known in the parts. And they say, Babaji, there is a rogue elephant loose, or roaming. And this rogue elephant is killing the sadhus. Master, what can you do about this? And so Babaji says, you want me to do something about the rogue elephant? And they said, yes, please. And he says, okay, well, let me think about this. So the sadhus went away, and so it was nighttime, and Sriam's laying down, and he's gone to sleep, and all of a sudden, Babaji wakes him up. And he says, wake up, we gotta go. Okay. So he gets up, and they're walking through the forest, and it's dark of night, and Sriam says, all I could think of was, that rogue elephant is out there somewhere, right? And wasn't thinking that, he was with his teacher, and, he'd seen some amazing things. So Babaji finds this flat rock area, and he sits on the flat rock, and Sriam sits down next to him, and he says, just wait. And pretty soon, he hears this through the underbrush. And Sriam's like, oh my God, that rogue elephant's coming. And it came out of the brush and headed right straight for them. And so Sriam's like, doing his prayers, like, okay. And Babaji's just put his hand up. And he said from here to where Dayadevi is, the rogue elephant stopped, lifted his trunk up, and kneeled. Babaji went out to see him and put his hand on the elephant. And here's what he said, as much as I can remember. He said, brother, did you forget who you are? You must have forgotten who you are. I'm here to remind you, we're all one. Why would you kill the sadhus? Why would you do that? Remember who you are. You've just forgotten. I'm remembering for you. Now remember for yourself. And then the elephant bowed its head, put its trunk up one last time, got up, turned around, and walked away. No more killings. Amazing, right? Amazing. But we're all one. We're all one. I can tell you this from experience. In our garage, for the last 13 years, we have had skunks that come in. Skunks with their little babies. So cute. And, sometimes we can even pet them. But they come in, and every new generation has their little thing. So I say to the baby skunks, okay, rules of the roller home. No spraying. And there's one that we call Huffmeister, and then we have Huffmeister 2. And he gets his little, like that to me. I say, stop it right now. You stop it. You stop or you go out. So I put the cat door in, and I listen to the baby scratching. And I say, okay, I'm going to take the door out. You can come in. Bruce even built steps for them to get up in there. It's so cute. And I'm going to take the door out, but we got an agreement, right? They come in, they eat, okay? They know. All beings know. The trees know. The skunks know. The elephants know. The walls know. Everything is consciousness. We live in a universe that is whole. That is whole. Get to know your universe. Understand that you are not separate. You can talk to the skunks, you can talk to the elephants, you can talk to the walls, you can talk to your car that's acting up. You know, Elizabeth, raise your hand, Elizabeth. She's like, oh boy. I remember once your washing machine, right? Wasn't it? Went out, and we were doing Reiki classes and stuff. So she went to the washing machine, said, you know, gave it Reiki and said, okay, you're done. That's enough. Right? And it was fine. Now, sometimes things have their time, and you need to have a new washing machine, right? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when you understand that you and the universe are organically one, then you are not separate, and things are not a problem. Nothing is a problem. Everything's an opportunity. You are in a divine dance, right? You can be a wallflower, or you can have your dance card punched, and you can pick your dance partners and your experiences. You are totally at choice. And whatever you decide, it's not wrong if you don't want to engage. That's okay too, because that's an experience. But you are still spiritually whole. Nothing can stop that, not even your thought or belief. It's still a fact. So if that's okay, and that feels like you'd like to take a deep breath, let's go into that spiritual wholeness, that spiritual oneness this morning as the music team comes up and sings In My Heart. Yes.
Tell us the name of that book again, please.
Oh, yes. It's an article. You can Google it. Self-realization, 17 benefits of having a personal relationship with the divine. As you close your eyes and take a nice deep breath, become aware of your body. And notice as you become aware of your body, unless you touch the edges of your arm or your legs, you can only know that you have legs. And you can only know you have arms through the feeling, but you can't know the edges of your body. And this is the truth about who we are. We don't begin or end anywhere. Nothing begins or ends anywhere. There are no edges to creation. Those edges are beliefs. I meld into you, you meld into me. We meld into the music. We meld into the oxygen in this room. We meld into memories of home, where there's light and unconditional love. And because we meld into that, it's not there, it's here. You see that? Heaven is not a place that we go to, it's a way that we are. It's a way of being in our consciousness that knows that spiritual wholeness has always been, always will be. Nothing can ever change that. Sometimes we may forget, but then we remember our brother or sister brings us back into that beautiful memory. And if it's okay, on the next deep breath, allow yourself to feel that love. Allow yourself to feel the light. And think about the person sitting closest to you. And even if you don't know them, experience their love and their light. And let them experience yours. And we can lift that love and that light and put it into this room right now. There you go. You feel that? That beautiful, beautiful love. It's like the coziest blanket ever. Oh, yeah. That's right. Just allow yourself to be in that space. And you can take that with you this week. You can remember this moment anytime you need this week. Because this moment and the next moment are no different. It's only your thoughts that make it so. It's only your belief systems that make it so. You are perfect. You are loving. You are loved. You are safe. You are beautiful. And you are appreciated. And so it is. And whenever that feels nice and complete for you, you can go ahead and take a nice deep breath and open your eyes and come back into the room. This coming Wednesday, when I do Sat Song, I'm going to be doing something called Experiencing the Web. So if you want to experience that in an even more powerful way, come Wednesday at 6:30. We're going to do Sat Song and have a wonderful experience and some new music too. The Mula Mantra. Yes, nice. Let's rise and sing our closing song. Let it be. Sorry. Do you know how special you are? You are so special. I love you so much. Thank you for being here at Sacred Space. Thank you for being a part of my life. That love you feel right now, next time you see a face you don't know, remember this love and give that feeling to someone who doesn't know you. I love you. Have a beautiful week. Be loving. So it is. Love you too. Thank you. Let's have some community time.